I remember Project Bounce years back. That was huge for local artists. I remember UFT had a station, but local artists, hip-hop artists, getting an opportunity to be heard on radio, being able to do interviews like that was big. What Nation and Tricks were doing back then, that was huge for its time. I don't think artists today, young, up-and-coming artists, care so much about the radio. A lot of these kids don't even listen to the radio. They consume most of their content online, streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. So being played on the radio, I don't know if that's as relevant to them.
A Toronto guy might come up to you and be like, yo, man, I got my mixtape, soon come, man, soon come. Give me a radio spin. Okay, well, where's the video? Soon come, man, but yo, I just need spins, and you know, like, I'm putting on for the hood, and blah, 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 and like, and that's not every artist from Toronto, but the point is, in terms of that hunger, that's just a US hunger you don't see. It's like, I can't really explain it. I'm not from the US. It's a different, like, these guys will really do whatever it takes. They'll pay, they'll do whatever, they'll get D-boy money. They don't care if they really want it that bad. They'll get the support. I guess we're a little laid back. We're a laid back country. We're laid back people. Are we really hungry out here? Nah. So it's definitely gonna translate to how we go about things. And I mean, there's guys out here who are hungry and get it in, but.
You know, right before we started the show, some of the biggest artists in Canada were Cardinal Official, Choclair, Socrates. I remember Belly. These were more popular names. And I remember Cardinal Official had just kind of signed a deal with an American artist, and that was the big thing. You know, finally a Canadian artist had kind of crossed over into the American culture, linked up with a huge, you know, American recording star, and you know, everybody felt like, yo, he's on his way. Well, my name is Dwayne Terry. Most people know me as DT. In the Buffalo on the radio, I was the Cold Spring cousin, D Trilla Ferrella. Also from Late Night Noise. And I worked at a radio station called WBLK, pumped about 50,000 watts. And because of where it was located, near the border, you know, our signal went right over into Canada and up into Toronto as well. And a lot of people up in Canada really grew up on listening to WBLK before they got their own station, and it kind of pushed the signal away.
Before we had our own radio station, we used to, BLK was it. If your radio wasn't strong enough, you only got BLK in your car. You don't understand, BLK, how important you are to Toronto. Yeah, I'm a big man, eh? Trust me, T.Talk. So I tell you some fuckery, cause someone have to know it, eh? Yo, so Flow comes in, and I had 93.7, and these men come in and give me 93.5. And kick off my 93.7, and I can't get my fucking BLK no more. Excuse the curse. Some fuckery, some arms house, you understand? Toronto, you understand? Arms house. So Flo, move your fucking frequency so we can get more than one.
I'd like to get or change the radio situation in this country, how pathetic it is.
So what's confusing to me is Flow 93.5. Like, this is a station that was created to play local talent. I get it, business, it was bought out a few times and so forth, or switched ownership, but over the last decade, we've had the biggest hip-hop artists in the world. Why we never had a local station playing our homegrown talent is mind-blowing to me. But they're getting radio play all around the world except for the city where they're from. Like, that just never made any sense to me. I think Flow changed their format back to a hip hop format in November 2017. I read an article and I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell were you looking at for the last decade? You know, and it just goes to show you, it speaks volumes about the infrastructure here in Toronto and lack thereof. If it takes 10 years plus for you to realize that we have some of the best talent in the world and we should be showcasing them, it's just mind-blowing to me.
So when I was on the radio, there's a couple changes. So it's the same station, but it's been switched over 3 times. So when I was on the radio the first time, like doing the midday, I had the leeway to play everything I wanted, especially stuff that was homegrown and stuff like that, where like you could kind of take like unreleased tracks and play them on the radio, and then don't forget OTA Live. So like, I think back when it was first bubbling and you were kind of getting that whole like, that we're new to this, we're new to the support, we're new to this camaraderie. When One Love TO was first popping off and all these things were popping off, there was more outlets to hear a wide variety of artists.
The audience can't hear the music unless the DJs are playing the music, and Canadian DJs don't really like to break records. They like to break broken records.
I want something fresh and different. My name is Sean, PKA DJ P+. I'm a commercial DJ on the radio, been doing it for 13 years.
We need radio. Can I say that again?
I want spins on Flow. I was on Unsigned Hype for 4 weeks. I was on Unsigned for 5 weeks in a row straight. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Well, okay, but what happens after that? Like, are you reinvesting back into the business? Are you waiting for someone to sign you? It's like, and that's kind of where it stops. It's like when it becomes a business and it's more of like I don't got a team, I don't got the money, I feel like it fizzles out.
I think overall they just, I mean, you know, the US has a head start.
You want to make it to that level. It's just, that's the level. It's not a US or a Canada thing. It's just, that's the level you want to be at.
They have actual radio stations that'll play urban music.
I kept pitching the idea to my program director about doing a show, which would be a show that showcased unsigned artists who don't have deals but are still making great music.
Hey, yo, DT, this is what they've been waiting for.
It's time for unsigned hype. It's time for unsigned hype. It's time for unsigned hype. Everybody turn your radios on.
He finally gave me the opportunity to do that show, and we launched it, and it was called WBLK Unsigned Hype. Me, my partner St. Chris, and shouts out to my cousin Red. Then, all of a sudden, the Canadian artists started flooding the gate with music because they had a lot of great music up in Toronto.
I can't tell you the amount of times I get emails and it's like, yeah, I was on Unsigned Hype for like 2 weeks straight. That means you gotta play my stuff.
We played local artists from Western New York all the way up to Toronto, Southern Ontario, and this is before social media really blew up. This is before the streaming platforms, and radio was a big deal for artists, and being heard on radio was huge. And I just remember that period, and we actually were just filling an obvious void because the artists, especially in Toronto, had nowhere to take their music. So we had all this local talent with great music, and nobody in Toronto was actually supporting them, including Flow 935. I remember that time, and I have a lot of fond memories. It was a great run we had, and even when I see artists now, some of the artists that have gone on to do big things, I just remember those days. That was real dope. Res Digital, and I believe it was Ty Harper who was doing OTA Live at the time. That was another show. Actually, it was on Flow 935. I think it aired every week, but they were playing their part as far as giving opportunity to local artists to be heard. So definitely shout them boys out. But Toronto still has a long way to go when it comes to supporting their local talent. Long way to go. And I'm sure if you talk to any artist from those eras or now, they'll probably say the same thing, which is sad. Sad.
And I think what really happens is when they find out that's not just like a thing where you're gonna make a track, go on to like your local station and like, do it, where you really gotta put in some work, you gotta put up some serious money, you gotta hire a radio plugger, you gotta set up a distribution, you wanna do a tour, you gotta do it yourself. It's like, whoa, hey, I thought I was just rapping and wearing clothes. What do you mean I gotta do all this? No, you gotta put in that work.